Hello, my name is Beth Clare McManus and I'm a coaching psychologist and illustrator. A typical day for my role as a coaching psychologist, I'm going to give a very psychologist answer to this, which is that there is no real typical day. They're all quite different, largely because I'm working with lots of different people and their differences and idiosyncrasies. So some of my time is spent working one-to-one as a coach. I'm working with people around things like their values, their purpose, their direction, questions that they might have about work or working relationships. I also do work with teams and groups. So that might be going into an organisation or working virtually with organisations and teams, supporting some of those similar conversations, but in a slightly different way. I'm also a member of the Division of Coaching Psychology Committee. So some of my time is spent attending meetings. I'm also supporting the planning of next year's conference. So there's a bit more of the kind of behind the scenes networking, reaching out, talking to speakers, that kind of thing. So lots and lots of different activities really in my role. Yeah. So I'm sure this will be similar or shared experience to lots of people who work in the field of psychology. My journey was quite convoluted and a bit rambling. So I never really set out actually to become a psychologist. I did a HR and psychology degree with a plan to become a HR consultant. My background was in retail. I really enjoyed working with people and developing them. And so I thought the psychology would just be giving me that bit extra of understanding people. I then found out that you could become an occupational psychologist, and that felt like actually this is what I'm meant to be heading towards. Like, see you later, HR. I'm going to go down this psychological route. And really, having worked in that field for a few years, I trained as a coach whilst I was working in-house at the NHS. I worked in staff engagement, had some coaching training, and really felt like, oh, okay, actually this in a bit more of a specialized way is maybe the place for me, or something that I'm good at and could develop. So I've been coaching for about 3.5 years now. And 12 months ago, during the pandemic, whilst I was kind of taking stock and working out what I wanted to do, I decided I'd pursue a second master's in coaching psychology and positive psychology at the University of East London, which I've just graduated from a couple of weeks ago. And through doing that programme is what led me to becoming a member of the special group for coaching psychology, which is now the Division of Coaching Psychology, and also applying to be the postgraduate network rep on the committee for that group. So yeah, never really planned to become a psychologist, and certainly not as specialised as coaching psychology. And there was a bit of a diversion through occupational psychology, which is actually quite complementary, and a lot of the work that I do straddles the two areas. So it's worth noting you don't have to necessarily pick one and only specialise in that area. You can kind of keep an open mind and an interest in a few different areas of psychology. I think the thing I enjoy most about working as a coaching psychologist is getting to work really one-to-one with people. So although I've alluded, I do kind of group work and teamwork as well and work with organisations, the thing that I love the most is really building that one-to-one relationship with someone and supporting them through periods of transition or dilemmas, or just really helping them to unlock their thinking. Actually, my role in a way is quite passive, although it does take a lot of skill and expertise to hold space for other people to think. The magic for me is getting to watch the person that I'm working with unraveling their thinking and kind of solving their own problems. And it is quite counterintuitive. I always thought I'd want to do something where I felt like, oh, I'm the expert in this and I'm making this massive difference. And I do get that sense of satisfaction, but actually it's about the person I'm working with being in that expert role, and that's really, really satisfying for me. I think the thing that makes the difference to the majority of people that I work with, or certainly the thing that gets fed back to me a lot, is how valuable it is to have time to think and have time that's yours. Quite often, although the big transformations in thinking are not about I really just needed a bit of space for myself. They might be about, I'm not working in a values-led way, or I really don't want that promotion that I'm kind of killing myself to go for. Actually, upon reflection, for lots of people, it was, I've never really allowed myself time to reflect. I've never really sat and thought deeply about what it is that I want and who I am and where I'm going. Those are kind of fleeting moments of thinking in amidst all the chaos of modern life. So I think the biggest difference that my role as a coaching psychologist makes is just almost giving people that permission and sitting with them in that space for the first part of their experience of doing it. It's often something people go on to continue a reflective practice or continue coaching long term. But just being able to sit in that space with someone and give that permission has been really transformational for lots of people I work with. So absolutely, I would say that the two aspects of my work are really complementary. So they don't always go together. I'm not always thinking about illustration or creativity when I'm working as a coaching psychologist, and vice versa. When I'm illustrating, sometimes I'm just drawing. I'm not thinking about coaching or reflective practice, but my illustration came about as my own method of reflective practice, and reflection is such a huge part of both the client's experience of working with a coaching psychologist, but also my professional practice development, ethical practice, etc., requires a lot of reflection on my work. So I use illustration as a means of reflecting. So I sometimes draw self-portraits and maybe write around it what I'm thinking or what happened to me during a session. I've also used illustration with some clients. It's not right for everyone, but I've had people draw specific things. I've also had people doing abstract painting whilst I've been coaching them to try and help them access maybe different levels of their thinking and get out of their brain a little bit. And I've just completed some research, which is about to be published, that I did as part of my master's, which was all about using music and mark making. So I deliberately called it mark making, not drawing, because there's a block for people who can't draw. Using that during coaching supervision to see if it would help people to reflect in a different way, and really found that it helped people exactly that, get out of the brain into the body, access a different perspective and really get in tune with their gut and their heart on what was happening for them. So absolutely, I would say they both, I can't really separate them. They both kind of inform and complement the other. So something that I have found really helpful in getting established in my brain that I am actually a coaching psychologist and this is a real thing that's happening, has been getting involved with the committee. So at the moment, the division of coaching psychology is so new, there's only the committee, but over the next 12 months to 2 years, lots of subcommittees and working groups will start to emerge, similar to models that exist in the other divisions. So prior to being on this committee, I was also a member of working groups in the division of occupational psychology. And I would really, really recommend, if you've kind of found the area that you think might be for you, then looking at, is there a working group or a committee or a subcommittee? Could you get involved in stewarding a conference, like anything that's going to kind of connect you in with the BPS as your professional body, but also gives you so much access to other professionals and really open my eyes to the different ways that people work within the different divisions, the type of roles that they do, whether that's in-house or self-employed. It's just a really, really fantastic way of connecting in with your profession and also making sure, almost sort of sounding out, is this the right field for me or the right specialism? Are there other things out there that I maybe wouldn't come across organically? So yeah, I'd really recommend doing that.